Hey everyone, welcome to episode 12 of the Sport Fanatics podcast. Today is July 27th, 2021. My name is Chris.
And my name is J. Mike.
Today we're going to be talking about the Olympics, update on the NBA draft, and an NFL story. Stick with us. Here's the theme. Well, speaking of Japan, let's start with the Olympics in Tokyo. Delayed from last year, but finally underway, albeit in front of very reduced crowds because, unfortunately, they haven't been able to get vaccinated as much in Japan yet. But nevertheless, the Olympics are underway. We're early on. Medal count pretty close. USA out front right now as of the moment of recording with 25. China has 21 and Japan has 18. Now, as far as gold goes, if you just want to look at that, Japan has 10, USA 9, and China has 9. Some trends, I guess, loose trends we can kind of go over. So the USA is, of course, dominating in swimming, as we're kind of used to at this point.
How about Chris? How about that 17-year-old Lydia Jacoby from Alaska won the gold medal in the women's 100-meter breaststroke last night? How about that? A 17-year-old.
Yeah, it's always a lot of great stories always come out of the Olympics, but yeah, it's just amazing how some of these like super young people. You and athletic.
You and I were in our junior year in high school at THS whenever we were 17. So it's hard to believe that a high schooler won a gold medal last night for the U.S. team and
I can't imagine
swimming
being in the Olympics at 17 years old. Well, and I think the youngest. I'm trying to remember what sport it was and for what country. It was skateboarding. The skateboarder for Japan was a 13-year-old, yes, and they won gold. That's also something, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it really doesn't surprise me considering every time I go to Ballard Park now, you see in Tupelo, Mississippi, you see such a young group of kids, doing ollies and ollie oxen free and
I'm just
just all kinds of skateboard tricks and stuff like that at the little skate park there. So it's really not surprising, but age wise,
super young,
especially in the Olympics. Now that part of it's definitely impressive, but
and she's part of that trend of USA just dominating.
And then there was a new Olympic record last night as well. And when I mean last night, I mean for all of us here in the U.S., of course, because
it's an awkward time.
It was nighttime, yeah. But Australia's Kaylee McCown won her first Olympic gold medal with a time of 57.47 seconds in the women's 100-meter backstroke. So that was also to go along with swimming.
I guess real quick, I'll go over second and third. So China's really dominating in shooting, like air pistol, air rifle. Now the USA did win the skeet shooting competition. Amber English for the women, Vincent Hancock for the men. They got gold.
Awesome.
But China's doing really well in the air rifle and also weightlifting, interestingly enough.
Wow.
Yeah, they got gold in men's and women's weightlifting.
Whoa.
And then Japan, the aforementioned skateboarding, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, so forgive me, but Nishia Momiji? Something like that. Anyway, congrats to her, but they're cleaning up with judo. They also won the men's skateboarding. So, one other thing for China, doing good in diving. USA though.
Oh, I completely forgot about diving.
Yeah, I guess that's happening kind of in conjunction with the swimming.
Because to be honest, I haven't seen nothing out of diving.
Yeah, I haven't seen it,
which is crazy.
I've been catching what I can. It's kind of just whatever's on whenever I get a chance. And now fencing, USA won gold in the women's fencing. So
I didn't think about that either.
Lee Kiffer. And all the silver medals for the USA are also in swimming, and then the bronze, bunch of swimming, and then men's skateboarding for the men on the men's side.
Yeah,
for the USA. So, I mean, that's the medal count right now. Still, so much more to go. I'm always looking forward to the track and field stuff.
Yes,
and they haven't really gotten deep into that yet. I don't know if they've even started much of that. I haven't seen many medals. So
yeah, I know. Sam Kendrick, that was on the track and field team at Ole Miss. I know he's on the U.S. men's track and field team.
Yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye to see how he does.
Yeah, definitely pulling for our guy Sam Kendricks and that U.S. men's track and field team.
No Usain Bolt this year.
Whew.
It's dominant, man.
So yeah, you better. You better get you some gold around your neck. Do your chain hang low?
You still got to watch out for Jamaica, though. I don't think you'll be wearing chains while you're
2 chains
doing the 100-meter dash.
Oh man!
But one story, unfortunate story, of course. USA was really, I'm not going to say expecting. Well, expectations are a good way to put it. There were high expectations for the gymnastics team for the USA, but unfortunately, Simone Biles had just sort of had to withdraw. Seems like she wasn't 100%, and she said you have to be 100% to do this. So unfortunately, she had to withdraw, and she had a rough day on that first day, and that may have contributed to it. At least a rough day for her, because she's considered one of the best, if not the best, at the gymnastics. So I still think they got.
I heard when the report came out earlier this morning that she was withdrawing from the Olympics, that previous time she was out there, when she landed very awkwardly.
She did.
And the trainer went out there to check up on her, and so of course that they went on from there, and sure enough, like you said, Chris, not 100%, when you definitely need to be if you're competing in gymnastics, especially in the Olympics, with your country relying on you so much, especially when you stand out on your team, not only on your team, but probably in front of the whole world.
Well, yeah,
as the best to do it in your sport.
For sure. Like, yeah, she was having issues with landing, and it's not just a matter of you don't want to kind of bring your team down.
Right.
Like, at that point, she's probably feeling she can do more as a coach and cheerleader for her team than possibly risking pulling down their scores. But
yeah, and you respect that a lot as well.
Yeah, and it's not just that though. I think also, I mean, I've watched. I'm not going to sit here and say I watch a ton of gymnastics, but I watch a decent amount, especially around the Olympics. And you've got to be able to have confidence in your landing, because there's been some just gruesome injuries these gymnasts when they're landing and land awkwardly, and knees and ankles go ways that they're not supposed to. So I'm glad she doesn't need to risk doing something like that to herself either.
Not at all. And people that were giving her flack past couple of days, man, she's a true team player, even though, of course, she stands out on her team. She's the best on her team. But, there's no selfishness there, no pride there to do it for me. Right. I'm going to get mine. I'm going to get my gold medal. None of that from her. So, obviously, utmost respect for Simone Biles, and obviously thoughts and prayers are with her in her recovery. And
yeah, I mean, it's got to be devastating you work for this for
4
years, 5 this time, because it got delayed, and you're not able to compete, which is, of course, the whole goal. So that's
and that
depressing,
no doubt, and that unfortunately stinks. But we wish Simone Biles the best in her recovery, and
that we wish the best for her, and hopefully she can be back in next Summer Olympics and have a comeback, be strong as ever. And of course, for all these athletes, hope there's no injuries. I love the Olympics. The Olympics are so fun to watch, to see all these athletes from all over the world doing something. I know that they get sponsorships and like media deals a lot of times when they're well known, but these are people voluntarily going out there and competing against people from all over the world, and it's always so fun to see it. I will watch the opening ceremony. I always enjoy that so much, and still got a long way to go in this, and I'm just excited to see where the country is lined up. And I don't know, it's nice to have so many people from all over the world in one place and sort of forget about some of the worldly problems for a while and just focus on sports.
If you don't mind, Chris, I've got a couple of interesting things from the Olympics that I noted on. If you don't mind me going through these real quick.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, and this was all in yesterday's competition throughout the Olympics, but the USA volleyball team went 3 for 3 yesterday. Number 12, Phil DeHausser and Nicholas Lacina won the match against number 4, Allison Cerruti and Alvaro Moraes Fijo.
Yeah, there's some tough names. And
how about this story, Chris? 25-year-old Russian gymnast Arthur Dalayan tore his Achilles 3 months ago. Yesterday, he helped lead the Russian Olympic Committee to a gold medal.
Wow. Yeah, that's a quick recovery. I'd be so scared I'd freaking tear it again.
Yes.
While I'm doing whatever. I don't think that shows some of these athletes being able to come back that quick like that.
In just 3 months.
Yeah. When I don't.
It took Kevin Durant a full year to recover from his Achilles injury that he suffered in the NBA Finals when he was a member of the Golden State Warriors. And then, of course, he signs that big deal with the Brooklyn Nets in the offseason, but he sat out that whole year. So,
yeah. Well, and not to cast any doubt here, but I have a feeling he's going to be getting randomly tested here pretty soon, bouncing back that quickly, and especially playing for or being a Russian athlete, because the whole reason they're not able to compete under their flag this year is because of the ban. So they're under that Russian committee thing.
Right.
So he's probably going to get some scrutiny, but hopefully he's clear. And if so, I mean, that's just incredible to be able to come back like that.
Yes, you will have to test him for anabolic steroids. Like Drago.
Yeah.
I must break you. From Rocky IV.
Yeah. Need to bring out some wrestling and have Rocky and Drago come out.
Yeah, in Rocky IV, they were shooting them up with steroids, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raw punching power. But anyway, back to it. Number 1, Team USA Volleyball swept number 2 China in straight sets yesterday.
Which has a pretty big win for USA. That's probably going to be 2 of the top. I mean, they're predicted to be the first and second in medal count. USA and China are going to be close.
Oh yeah. They're gonna be 1 and 2 respectively, no doubt about that, Chris. Katie Ledecky took her first place in the women's 200-meter freestyle semifinal, and she had a chance to win her first gold medal. But, of course, as we touched on, her teammate, 17-year-old Lydia Jacoby from Alaska, ended up winning the gold later on in that competition. So Team USA finished 1 and 2 respectively, gold and silver medal there in that competition. So
yeah, and swimming, of course.
So great. That was awesome to see teammates finishing 1 and 2 there for the U.S.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the men's 400 they finished first and third. So they're really cleaning up those medals in swimming.
All right, in beach volleyball, Team USA's April Ross Beach and Alex Kleinman, they beat Team Spain's, Elsa Bacarizo and Liliana Fernandez in straight sets.
Yeah. That's the fun thing for us about some of these teams. Going to be some tough names in these other countries, even in USA.
All right, 6 wins and 0 losses. The U.S. women's basketball 3-on-3 team, they remained undefeated at the Tokyo Olympics. So they are headed to the semifinals with a 21-19 win over China.
It's so bizarre yet interesting to watch those 3-on-3 games. It's kind of like watching some pickup basketball just outside somewhere
in the backyard.
Like really good. Yeah.
Yep.
And again, USA and China right there neck and neck.
And I've got 2 more, Chris. How about your boy Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks?
Mm-hmm.
Went off for 48 points in his Olympic debut as he and his Slovenia team defeated Argentina 118-100 in the country's first ever Olympic men's basketball game.
Well, he made a big difference, obviously. He was the huge reason why there.
No doubt. Luka Doncic going for 48 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 3-pointers made. And this happened a couple of days ago, but it's certainly worth mentioning that Team USA in softball, they start 5-0 in Tokyo and will play for a gold medal now after they walked off Japan the other day. So congratulations to that USA softball team.
And if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure they're playing Japan again for the gold.
Yeah, Not a shocker
So-
there, because we all know USA and Japan are
Yeah.
neck and neck,
That's-
and softball and baseball.
I was about to say it'll probably a repeat in baseball as well, and unless a Latin American team sneaks in there, which is a definite possibility.
But that's all I've got, Chris. Worth noting and mentioning
Yeah, well,
from the Olympics.
well, and to add on a little bow here, speaking of softball and baseball, I wish that they were going to have that consistently from now on, but it sounds like it's probably not going to be back in until the Olympics come back here. I think, is it 8 or 12 years from now? Anyway, until they come back to America, probably not going to see baseball and softball in the Olympics again, which kind of frustrates me. I like baseball being in there and softball.
I am so ready to see the World Baseball Classic again.
Oh, yeah.
I love
That
the
was
World
fun.
Baseball Classic, especially last time out where the U.S. just went on an incredible run and won the whole thing. I mean, that whole run was incredible, with Adam Jones robbing the home run, dead center,
Mm-hmm.
and just some clutch hitting. And then I believe they dominated whoever they played in the final. They beat the crap out of them. 9-0 or dang close to it. But that was just so fun a couple of years back. So I'm definitely can't wait for the next World Baseball Classic, whenever that may be.
Yeah, I just love international play. And again,
Me too.
USA right now with 25 medals, China with 21, and Japan with 18. Oh, before we wrap up with the Olympics, we should talk about that tropical storm that thankfully didn't hit head on in Tokyo, but got pretty close and really messed up a lot of these outdoor schedules for like archery and or softball and anything that was outdoors really. But one thing I thought was funny, one sport that they actually moved up because of the hurricane was surfing. So they'd had some major waves to ride on.
Surf's up, dude.
Yeah, it's like, all right, tropical storm. Well, we'll just surf through it. It's fine.
Tidal wave.
Yeah, so they did the surfing, and since I brought it up, and for the men, Brazil got gold. Ferreira.
Yeah.
Japan got silver. Igarashi, Australian, which makes sense, right? Got bronze. For the women's side, though, USA got gold. More.
All right.
South Africa, Buitendag, South African, got silver.
Not to be mistaken for Guten Tag.
Yeah, no, that's what it makes me think of, right? And then Suzuki from Japan got bronze.
It wasn't Ichiro, was it?
No. Well, and this is spelled Tsuzuki. So it's a little bit different, but I assume it still said like Suzuki.
Oh, okay.
I guess the T is silent.
Well, I misheard you then. I thought you said Suzuki. But you said Tazuki.
Well,
Tazikis in Tupelo.
oh yeah, have some Greek. But yeah, so just
you
wanted
love
to
that place. I don't. I'm a very picky eater, people. So
wanted to
it happens.
mention that kind of funny story.
Yeah, that's really neat. And also kind of hilarious in a way that you expect with that coming in. Okay, we're not gonna. Yeah, we're just gonna cancel this event. We're not gonna go through it. Oh well, considering the waves are gonna be massive, it's the committee's like, okay, we're fixing to find out who's the best of the best of the best here.
Perfect.
When you got these extreme tidal waves going on. So, I mean, that's obviously great that it worked out and that they were able to go through with it, considering how massive those waves had to have been during that event.
Yeah.
So that's not only a hilarious story there, but quite an awesome one as well, considering you got that event just pretty much magnified
Yeah.
Considering how massive the waves must have been.
And I have to assume, looking at some pictures here, I didn't get to see it live. I'm assuming that, of course, they weren't like directly in the path of like all the rain and thunderstorms. I'm guessing that they were like just out of that range, but we're still getting the like probably the wind and of course wave effect.
Oh, no doubt.
From wherever they were. So I guess it was just really fortunate for where they were located and planning to do the surfing. All right, well, moving on. We got the NBA draft coming up on Thursday night, so this is our last chance to really have an update going into that. So I know J-Mike has been looking into that, so what you got for me?
All right, Chris. Well, last podcast, which was last Friday, I know we touched on the top 10 picks very quickly. If you don't mind, good sir, I'd like to run through the mock draft of the first round potential draftees on Thursday night.
Okay.
But to kick it off, I'd like to tell you a report that came out last night, and this is from Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN. Okay, this is from him, so I want to make sure I'm crediting him. But he came out and said last night that the Detroit Pistons, who own the number 1 pick in this year's draft, their internal meetings are still revolving around 3 players for the number 1 overall pick on Thursday night. Those 3 players being Cade Cunningham, the guard from Oklahoma State, Jalen Green, and Evan Mobley. He goes on to say that Detroit isn't fully there yet on committing to Cunningham, which has pretty much been their lock on plenty of mock drafts.
Well, and the one we looked at last week, and
no doubt.
And then those other 2 guys, coincidentally, were 2 and 3 on that one. So,
but they haven't fully committed yet to taking him with their first overall choice. So,
they got to figure it out soon.
No doubt about it. But with that being said, still in mock drafts, the Pistons do have themselves taking Cade Cunningham, the guard from Oklahoma State, at number 1.
Okay.
Houston Rockets at number 2, taking Jalen Green, the shooting guard from G League Ignite. Pick number 3, Cleveland Cavaliers taking Evan Mobley, the forward/center out of USC. Number 4, the Raptors taking Jalen Suggs, the guard from Gonzaga. Magic at number 5, taking Scotty Barnes, the forward from Florida State. Number 6, once again, a guy we've touched on that has risen up draft boards here lately, especially going in the top 10. Guy to look out for Thursday night, James Bouknight, the shooting guard from UConn, going 6th to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Pick number 7, Golden State Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga, the forward from G League Ignite. At number 8, the Orlando Magic. It now has them taking Franz Wagner, the brother of former Michigan star Bo Wagner.
Oh, so that changed.
So he went up.
He went up 1.
He went up. He did go up 1. So Franz Wagner, the small forward out of Michigan, to the Magic. Number 9. So how about this, Chris? Number 9 and 10 here. We touched on this last podcast about these international players creeping up into the top 10. Well, 2 of them have done that here lately. As we fastly approach Thursday night's draft, in number 9, Sacramento Kings taking Alperen Sengun, the forward center out of Turkey.
I moved up 6 positions.
Yes. So he has now entered the top 10 in mock draft. And then another international player, and this is due to a trade that happened yesterday afternoon between the Memphis Grizzlies and the New Orleans Pelicans. So now the Grizzlies, in that trade, they trade Jonas Valanciunas, their center, to the New Orleans Hornets in exchange for center Steven Adams, guard Eric Bledsoe, the number 10 and the number 51 pick.
Mm-hmm.
So now the Grizzlies go from 17 to number 10, and at number 10 they have the Grizzlies taking guard Josh Giddey from the Adelaide 36ers in Australia.
Okay, so it moves him up 3 positions.
And now all of a sudden you have 2 international players in the top 10.
Yeah, just like you were talking about on Friday.
All right, so let's keep it going here. Hornets at number 11 selecting Kai Jones, the forward center from Texas. At number 12, the Spurs taking Corey Kispert, the small forward out of Gonzaga. That's another name to look out for the Memphis Grizzlies. His name has been tied to the Memphis Grizzlies as of late with that the trade going down yesterday between the Grizzlies and the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely would make more sense than taking a guard, considering you've got Morant and a couple of other guards there. You want to get bigger, especially in the paint, and so that would be a no-brainer. But right now, it has the Spurs taking Corey Kispert at number 12. At number 13, a guy that has risen up the draft boards but has fallen a little bit as of late. But he's still a guy that I would not be shocked come Thursday night that he could very likely creep back up into the top 10,
mm-hmm.
and that's guard Davion Mitchell from Baylor, from the national champion Baylor.
Yeah, well, he's just getting shuffled because of that trade.
Yes.
So he's moved down because of that.
But certainly you could see him selected in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Number 14, the Golden State Warriors selecting Chris Duarte, the shooting guard from Oregon.
Oh, and that has him moving up.
At number 15, I think this would be a great pick for the Washington Wizards. Moses Moody, the shooting guard from Arkansas, had a incredible year in the SEC last season, especially on that Arkansas team that got red hot there towards the end of the season.
Yeah, they were clicking.
Unfortunately, played a really good game against, I take that, yeah. They played a really good game against LSU in the semifinal, but LSU pulled it out, and so Arkansas was so close to playing Alabama in the SEC tournament championship game, which would have been a classic, but that Alabama-LSU game ended up being a really good game. But
it was a good tournament last year.
But Moses Moody was absolutely phenomenal and electric for the Woo Pigs. Number 16 has SEC players going back-to-back here, as the shooting guard from Tennessee, Keon Johnson, has him going to the Thunder.
Which that's a big fall. That's 8 spots.
Yes.
That he's fallen from the last one.
Yeah, and that was definitely to be expected, because he was a guy that you kind of figured he might want to come back to Tennessee for another year.
Mm-hmm.
And develop more there, but he decided to enter the draft, and of course, as you just stated, Chris, he has fallen of late, but it's no surprise there at all. All right, the Pelicans at number 17, once again via the trade with the Memphis Grizzlies, have them taking Trey Murphy, the forward out of Virginia. Yet again, another first-round pick for the Thunder at number 18, as it has them taking Jalen Johnson, the forward from Duke. Pick number 19, the Knicks taking Isaiah Jackson, center out of Kentucky. The Hawks taking Zaire Williams with the 20th pick, the small forward out of Stanford. Number 21, another first-round pick for the New York Knicks, as it has them taking Usman Garuba, the forward center from Real Madrid, Spain, not to be confused with the Real Madrid soccer team once again. Number 22, the Los Angeles Lakers taking shooting guard Cameron Thomas out of LSU. Number 23, the Rockets. Well, actually, I need to say this. Back-to-back picks here for the Rockets, 23 and 24.
Which, even though it's at the bottom of the first round, it's still pretty nice.
But it has Rockets at 23 taking, check out this name, Bones Highland,
cool
the
name.
shooting guard out of VCU.
Sounds like a bad guy in a film of something, like an action film or something.
What a basketball name there.
Yeah. Doesn't quite beat, what was it, Kicking Stallion?
Yeah, Chief Kicking Stallion.
Kicking Stallion. That's an awesome name.
And who did he play for? The Troy Trojans, I think.
Was it Troy or Alabama State? It was somebody.
Maybe it was Alabama State.
It was some small Alabama school.
Yeah, maybe it was Alabama State. But
yeah, I'll never forget that name.
Oh my gosh, that was an awesome name. But that Bones Highland, man.
That's close. That's good.
Wow, what a name there. And then at number 24, the Rockets from the world champion Milwaukee Bucks, when the Bucks traded when the Bucks traded when the Rockets traded PJ Tucker.
Okay.
That remember he defeated all of his former players in each round?
Yep.
His former Houston Rockets teammates in every round of the playoffs.
Right.
So in that trade with the Bucks, the Rockets get to pick at number 24 as well. Has them taking another shooting guard, this time from Alabama in Joshua Primo.
Also a pretty cool name. We got Bones and Primo.
Number 25, this cat right here, Chris, he had an incredible freshman year at Auburn. Unfortunately, he got hurt at a bad time, but my gosh, he put on a show for the Auburn Tigers. And that is Sharif Cooper. It has him being taken at 25. What a pickup that would be for the Los Angeles Clippers, considering uncertainty with Rajon Rondo. Do they bring him back or not? Should I stay or should I go? So, obviously, couldn't go wrong there if Sharif Cooper falls into their lap. Pick number 25. Pick number 26, the Nuggets taking another key cog off of the national champion Baylor Bears squad in guard Jared Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And to round out the last couple of picks here, Chris, 27, the Nets taking Day'Ron Sharpe, center out of North Carolina. 28, 76ers taking Trey Mann, guard from Florida. Not to be confused with Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
The guard with the Clippers that had an incredible playoffs.
Yeah. Close name, though.
And also the reason why I say that too, Chris, is Terrence Mann played at Florida State.
Oh, wow.
And this kid played at Florida.
It's
He's coming out of Florida.
On top of coincidence.
So that's why I want to set the record straight there. The Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns at number 29, taking guard Jaden Springer from Tennessee. And at pick number 30, Utah Jazz has them selecting Quentin Grimes, the MVP of that Houston Cougar team that made it to the Final Four in March Madness, the shooting guard there. So it has the Jazz taking Quentin Grimes there with the last pick in the first round.
Okay.
So there you have it.
Well,
with a look at, what to look for in Thursday's draft.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
we have seen guys rise and climb, but
yeah, there's been some pretty big moves in just this past few days. But the team I'm going to be looking at, and I'm sure a lot of people will. I mean, the Rockets got 3 picks in that first round.
And the Thunder as well.
Yeah. Oh, and that's a good call.
Yes,
I actually forgot about that.
Yes,
yeah.
I have it here in my notes, Chris. Rockets and Thunder, 3 picks in the first round.
Yeah, the Rockets are at 2, 23, and 24. The Thunder are 6, 16, and 18. So, yeah, yes. Thunder maybe even more so. Those teams have got to take advantage of this and really turn things around. I mean, they can make a huge difference to their team with potentially get 3 big pieces.
And I'll tell you this too, Chris, considering the Thunder have those 3 picks, there was a rumor that circulated either yesterday or a couple of days ago that the Thunder really like Cade Cunningham.
Oh, so they could try to trade up?
Exactly. There was a rumor that the Thunder had offered Gilgeous Alexander, the forward on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Mm-hmm. That's been incredible for them. Incredible young player. They offered him in a trade to the Pistons, that is. They offered him, and I believe the number 6 pick for the number 1 overall pick, and the Pistons turned it down. So I understand that at the top of this, I mentioned that they have yet to really commit to who they're picking, but if that don't give you a clue, I don't know what else will.
That makes you think that they at least feel pretty confident that
they want Cunningham at number 1. So that's definitely something that might possibly come back around by Thursday or during the draft Thursday night, but I don't expect that to happen. I do think that Cade Cunningham is an absolutely lock to go number 1 to the Detroit Pistons. And also, there's also been some other trade ideas that have been floated out there. Also, don't be surprised if you see some trade action going on during this year's draft. But obviously, that's all I have. As I hope that gets you somewhat ready for Thursday night's NBA draft, 7 o'clock Thursday night on ESPN.
All right, well, moving on in the continued saga happening in the NFL right now, between the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure
that's been the biggest NFL story all summer long.
Yeah, it's
by far.
Yeah, by far been the biggest off-season thing. But it sounds like Green Bay and Rodgers are close to working out an agreement to keep him there for at least this season that's coming up. So some of the concessions that Green Bay has made.
Yeah, and it's not peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
No, it's not the fun concessions.
Or popcorn. Or candy.
So first, the 2023 year and the contract with Aaron Rodgers, the last one in the deal that he has, would be voided with no tags allowed in the future. So basically just gets Rodgers out of the contract a year early.
Yes.
Also, said the Packers would agree to review Rodgers' situation at the end of the season, which, if his contract's going to be up anyway, then, pretty soon, then they're going to have to review it anyway, because he'll be coming up soon after that anyway. So, yeah, that kind of goes hand in hand. Rodgers' contract to be adjusted with no loss of income to give the Packers more cap room now. So that kind of helps, I guess, both parties a bit, but Packers get some more cap room, which could help them get some pieces to maybe satisfy Rodgers.
Which they had, Chris, they had a golden opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Julio Jones wanted out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to acquire him to go along with Devontae Adams.
Well, then, and I forgot, too.
And they also could have drafted Elijah Moore.
That's what I was about to say. They had a chance.
Slot receiver out of Ole Miss. Just imagine, had they pulled off a trade to get Julio Jones, there you have on the perimeter there, Jones and Adams. Yeah. That's a match made in heaven. And then you put Elijah Moore in the slot. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going at first. In the draft, they had a chance to, even if they didn't get Moore or some wide receiver, but
yeah, and instead they pick a DB.
Yeah, which I know defense is important, but that's not going to help keep Rodgers probably, unless he wanted a DB, which I doubt.
Especially not keeping him happy.
Yeah,
because that's mainly what this all boils down to, is just not happy there, which is very understandable, because I've been at places before in my life where I didn't feel very happy and appreciated and wanted, and I ended up getting out of it. So I definitely understand where Aaron Rodgers is coming from.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They had a golden opportunity, Chris, during the offseason.
They did.
To add those two receivers in particular that, in my honest opinion, would have made them Super Bowl favorites over Tampa Bay and Kansas City.
So a big swing.
Considering the weapons they would have on offense, and then also you've got Aaron Jones at running back, who has done an incredible job at Green Bay, because when you normally think of the Green Bay Packers, you don't think of a great running game. But now that you do with Aaron Jones, as he's done a remarkable job with the Packers, but obviously, and I saw this morning, Chris, where Aaron Rodgers did report to training camp,
which was,
so he has arrived at training camp,
which is a big part of this, was to try to get him to be there.
Yes,
for that, because you want your star quarterback to be there for training camp. Oh, and the final thing here, it says mechanisms will be put in place to address his concerns with the team. I mean, that's very vague. It just sounds like you're going to try to make him happy, which, I mean, you were touching on this. I mean, if your star player, especially a quarterback, isn't happy, then you're not going to be winning anything substantive. So,
oh yeah, and he's one of the best in the league.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. When I think of the top three quarterbacks, Chris, I think of Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Pat Mahomes. Those are the top three quarterbacks in the National Football League.
But yeah, I agree with that top three as well. And I mean, if the Packers can't perform with Rodgers, that's just crazy. It just shows dysfunction.
And they're in such a weak division, Chris.
Yeah,
where the Lions are starting over as they dealt Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams for their former quarterback, Jared Goff. So now Jared Goff takes the reins in Detroit. They're in a definite rebuild, so you don't expect nothing there. Minnesota Vikings are the threat with the Green Bay Packers, but they are so roller coaster ride. It's just unbelievable every year, it seems.
They have to drive their fans crazy because it's like you never know what they're going to be.
Yes, and the same can be said with their quarterback, Kirk Cousins. He goes on the roller coaster ride every season, it seems, where they either make the playoffs as a wild card team or they're just barely under 500. Like, a 7-9 team or something like that. But then you've got the Bears, and they have an interesting quarterback battle that's fixing to begin because NFL training camp started today. And the Bears quarterback battle is Andy Dalton versus Justin Fields, the quarterback that they took in the first round. And so obviously Fields, in my opinion, is the favorite, but of course you've got the Bears brass coming out and saying, look, we didn't sign Andy Dalton for him to sit on the bench early going. He's our starter, but I'm here to tell you, this is not Cincinnati, okay? This is Chicago. They are definitely in win now mode, and it's especially win now for Matt Nagy because this is his do or die year in Chicago.
Yeah, well, it's gonna
where it very well could be his last if he doesn't make the right coaching decisions, right moves, and especially is going to start at quarterback. But obviously, Justin Fields is going to be your guy.
Yeah,
very early.
Well, I think it's going to be in Fields' lap to kind of dictate how he performs in training camp and preseason. He has a chance, I think, to get it, but it sounds like the organization's default is, Dalton has it. But yeah, if he really performs well, he could definitely, I think, snag that job.
Yes, and Matt Nagy does not want to make the same mistakes he did with Mitchell Trubisky. Not one bit, which has got him in this mess that he's at right now. So he obviously is going to need to go to Fields early if Dalton is struggling out of the gate, which I believe is to be expected, and it will happen. I'm guaranteeing that right now, but this is the Packers division. They have owned this division since Rodgers took the reins in Green Bay, and so it's their division.
Well, and it's imperative for the Packers also because they're not really in a position now to rebuild.
Oh, they're not.
So they need to at least delay this another year or two to see, if they can't win it this next year or two, they're going to have to really look deep inwards and figure out, do they want to try to somehow trade for another top quarterback and keep plugging in pieces that way, or just start over and rebuild and try to be there in 3 or 4 years' time?
Because let's be real, 2 NFL drafts ago, they made a awful selection when they took the quarterback Jordan Love in the first round instead of getting Aaron Rodgers some protection up front or getting him another receiver. Then with everything going on, and it's crazy because deep down you knew he was going to come back at some point. Was it going to be late? You bet. And it was, where he arrived just as training camp started. Had a golden opportunity to pick Elijah Moore there And I think it was what was it, pick number 28, or pick number 27, and they didn't do it. They selected a DB, or they could have traded that number 1 pick to Tennessee and gotten Julio Jones to go along with Devontae Adams, which would have given you a lethal combo there. And so, once again, the Packers just being very, very boneheaded.
Which is weird
when
because
they knew that they were going to get Aaron Rodgers back for this season.
Yeah, what?
I know they knew it. A lot of fans knew it. A lot of people like you and myself, Chris, that love sports, that talk sports, and that's what we do. We had a good feeling that he was going to play in Green Bay this year. So, why not get you a wide receiver there? Either draft it or trade the pick to Tennessee.
Well, and it's weird to me they're having these issues because, I mean, normally the Packers are such a well-run organization. Like the transition between Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers was about as seamless as you could make something like that be.
Yes, but there was also some animosity there as well from Brett Favre.
True.
And
that's true.
The GM and ownership as well. So this maybe a slight replay of that. Exactly. Mm-hmm. It has come full circle. That's right. So it's now happening with Rodgers. And I'm here to tell you, Chris, it was the same. It's the same situation as it was with Favre. Favre was playing incredible, but he didn't have a lot of guys to rely on, and still played well. Same thing's going on with Aaron Rodgers right now, but Aaron Rodgers is actually being vocal about it. Hey man, I need help. We've got a Super Bowl caliber team here. I need some more pieces to a championship puzzle. And once again, their organization has made boneheaded decision after boneheaded decision, which has gotten them to this point right now with Aaron Rodgers. So it definitely has come full circle again, and it's unfortunate, but obviously we'll see where it goes from here. But Aaron Rodgers is now with the Green Bay Packers, as he has finally and officially reported to training camp.
Well, as always, we're going to finish up with the random page of the day, and we have a pretty fun one today. It's all the way back from August 1st, 1934.
Wow.
Yeah. We got well, first of all, let me say this was a close game for most of it. It was a quick, close game. It was an hour, 49 minutes. It's fast, man.
That don't happen anymore.
No, in front of 10,000 people at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, packed house, I'm sure, at the time. But Cardinals got 4 runs in the top of the 8th, and that's how the thing finished, 4-0. Cardinals win. And actually, at the moment of this game, the Cubs had a better record. They had 58 wins, 39 losses. The Cardinals, 56 wins, 40 losses. But moving forward in the season, the Cardinals would finish first in the National League and win the World Series.
Yeah.
4-3 over the Tigers. So,
yeah, with help of a Mississippian.
Yep.
Stan Musial.
That's right. And also another famous, Dizzy Dean was on this team.
Another Mississippian,
yeah,
yes.
But this game, Paul Dean, his brother, was the winning pitcher, pitched the complete game. So just
how about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
A family affair and Mississippians
showing out on the St. Louis Cardinals. And it's very ironic too, because Dizzy Dean would later be traded to the Chicago Cubs. And I just want to point this out from, ironically enough, it's been about 2 months now, Chris, but I went one weekend. I finally was able to go to the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame Museum down in Jackson.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't been there in years. It's a cool place.
Oh, my gosh, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
I recommend our listeners on the podcast that are big sports fans, and especially being from Mississippi, to go check it out sometime.
They've probably added some like nice new modern stuff in there too since I went, because I was a little kid.
But they definitely have a great exhibit. But I want to go through the trade, if you don't mind, Chris.
Okay.
With Dizzy Dean. Said right here, the baseball world and admiring Dizzy Dean fans were surprised by an announcement from St. Louis that Dizzy had been sold to the Chicago Cubs for $185,000 and 3 players.
Wow.
Dizzy, after enjoying 6 years with 141 wins and 75 defeats with the Cardinals, expressed optimism about his future with the Cubs. After meeting the Cub team and officials, Dizzy remarked, "I tell you, folks, them Cubs are swell people."
Very early 20th century dialogue going on there.
Then he says, "They're gentlemen." On another occasion, Dizzy quipped, "These Cubs, what a ball club." So I thought I would throw that in there. Let's see. Also to note with Dizzy Dean's time with the Cubs, says right here, a record spring crowd of 34,520 fans packed Wrigley Field for Dizzy's successful debut as a Cub. He followed up with a 4-hit, 5-0 victory over his former teammates.
Oh, nice.
How
Stoked
about
the
that?
rivalry there.
More irony here, which is why I wanted to bring this up. Over his former teammate, but his arm gave him a great deal of trouble for the remainder of the year, unfortunately, and led to the end of his brilliant career.
Yeah, I was about to say his first year there in Chicago had a 1.81 ERA, had a good year, but it kind of fell off a cliff after that. Next year, 3.36, and then 1940, 5.17.
His 4-year record with the Cubs was 16 wins and 8 losses. From 1938 until his retirement in 1941. And I love this here. P.K. Wrigley, of course, owner of the Chicago Cubs at the time, hence the name of Wrigley Field.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "When we bought Dean, we were not thinking in terms of his arm alone." He said that he had other qualities which made him just as valuable. He has spirit, he has a fine sense of morale, and he loves baseball whether he's pitching or not. A player of Dean's type is a real asset to any team. And I just wanted to throw this in there as well, considering it ties with your team and my team here.
Uh-huh.
And that was the 1938 World Series between the Cubs and the Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the second game of the 1938 series, which was the most eventful in Dizzy Dean's career. Relying mainly on determination, pitching skill, and a big heart, Dizzy held the Yankees until the 8th inning, but he lost a heartbreaker 6-3. One sports writer said that he assumed greatness in the defeat because the fans knew the odds against him and granted him a popularity that he had never known in triumph. His brave effort in the series, which the Yankees won in 4 straight, and his class throughout the disturbing 38 season led the baseball writers of Philadelphia to name Dizzy the most courageous athlete of the year.
Oh, well, that's nice. Yeah, it's like a fan favorite for sure.
So I wanted to throw a little bit of history after his career in St. Louis ended, but with my favorite team, the Chicago Cubs. And plus, we touched on 2 8th-inning collapses. I will say this till I'm dead and buried. The 8th inning is the most important inning in a professional or any baseball game there is. The 8th inning is absolutely crucial and critical. Anything and everything can happen in the 8th inning.
Seems like it. Well, and I want to touch on his brother real quick.
And this will not be the last time I say it on this show either, Chris. And to our listeners, so be prepared for me saying that a lot as the summer of baseball is getting going here, and we're really going to start diving into baseball coverage here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say that because
it seems like
I fully believe that, and it's actually the God's honest truth.
Well, and it may be partly because people are trying to kind of just get me over the 8th to get to their closer in the 9th.
Yeah.
So something about that 8th inning. But looking at his brother Paul, he was pitching in this game. He stayed with the Cardinals till 1939, and then in 1940 he goes to the New York Giants.
It's crazy. There's a lot of St. Louis, Chicago, New York.
Well, and then
all into one.
Interestingly enough, he finished his career in 1943 with the St. Louis Browns. So he goes back to St. Louis just to go with the Browns. But something else I didn't know, actually, the Dean brothers were born in Lucas, Arkansas. But I guess...
Yeah, that's right.
I guess Dizzy moved to Mississippi at some point because he's buried here. I think Paul stayed in Arkansas. He died in Springdale. So
let me see if I still have any of that, quite possibly from the museum when I went. I don't think I do.
While you're looking at that, I'll say this. Cardinals just had a great overall hitting day. They had 6 players have 1 hit each, and that was all their hits, but they got them off in a row. So they had 3 straight RBIs with Rothrick, Frisch, and Medwick, who got 3 of those runs for the Cardinals, and then somewhere in there was a unearned run. For the Cubs, they also had only players with 1 hit. They had 5 players with just 1 hit, but they weren't able to push any runs across the plate.
I do not have it. I do remember seeing that though in the museum, but I don't have it. But I will say this. I know that his 1934 World Series ring is there at the museum in that Dizzy Dean exhibit. So it is on display for people to see. Also has his Hall of Fame ring at the museum, his Hall of Fame label pin. Ironically enough, a lighter from the world champion 1934 St. Louis Cardinal team. And let's see. Most Valuable Player Award in 1934. And this is really, I thought this was really interesting too, Chris. You'll have a kick out of this, but there's a plaque in his exhibit. Says the All-America Board of Baseball, where he was named to the All-American baseball team in 1935, and you won't believe who presented this to him. George H. Babe Ruth.
Oh.
Chairman of the All-America Board of Baseball. How about that? I never knew that.
I wonder what year that was.
It was 1935.
1935. Okay.
I had no idea that he was he was the chairman of that.
Yeah, I wonder how long that
board.
lasted.
That's pretty dang cool too.
Yeah.
Once again, some more, St. Louis Cardinal, New York Yankee.
Well, they have such a rich history, both of them. One thing to touch on real quick, I guess the other, of course, Dizzy Dean, Hall of Famer. Some of the other Hall of Famers on the Cardinals team, Leo DeRucher.
Yes. Yeah. That name definitely comes to mind.
Yeah, and I think I kind of mispronounced. But anyway.
No, I believe that's exactly how you pronounce it, Chris.
Okay.
I think you did an exceptional job.
Oh, well, thank you. Frankie Frisch, Burleigh Grimes,
Walter Cronkite. No, I'm just playing.
Jesse Haynes,
Frank Sinatra,
Joe Medwick, and Dazzy Vance, which is a fun name.
Start singing New York, New York.
Yeah. But yeah,
I wanna be a part of it.
I'm trying to remember where I remember Leo DeRocher, because that's familiar to me as well.
Oh yeah, like his name is one of those that always.
That's where I know him. He was on a lot of those. He was on some of those really early 20s Yankees teams.
Yes.
He got traded away or moved. He went to Cincinnati in 1930, so he was a big part of those early Yankees teams. That's right, number 7. Okay. And then for the Cubs, we got 4 Hall of Famers. Kiki Cuellar,
Okay.
Gabby Hartnett, Billy Herman, Chuck Klein.
Yep, Chuck Klein.
Yeah,
Yep.
Chuck Klein
Yep.
is. I recognize him.
Yeah, that's a name. That's a name that I recognize as well.
So yeah, fun. 2 really good teams. Cardinals just edged out a little bit better that year in the National League and ended up winning the World Series. Fun matchup with great teams.
Also, some great history there as well. That I definitely wanted to point out, considering my favorite team was also not only involved with this game of the day that you brought up, Chris, but also had a lot to do on the history side of acquiring Dizzy Dean, and he ultimately pitched for the Chicago Cubs in the 1938 World Series against the New York Yankees, and of course they lost all 4 games, but that's just incredible to see where a incredible talent like Dizzy Dean played for your favorite team way back when, and he's etched in baseball history, and so it certainly was worth mentioning and bringing it up here today during this segment. But it's just very, very cool.
Yeah. Well,
cool that you brought that up.
Well, that's the fun part of going to these random pages and just seeing what pops up.
Oh, I love it, man.
Yeah.
It's arguably my favorite segment that we do on the show here.
Yeah, we never know where it's going to take us. So, but today it took us again to August 1st, 1934. Cardinals beating the Cubs 4-0.
Yeah, and the year that the St. Louis Cardinals and Dizzy Dean won the World Series.
You can't forget about his brother on there too.
Yeah, and how about that? And fellow Mississippian Stan Musial.
Yeah. All right, well, that'll do us for episode 12 of Sport Fanatics. You got any last words, J. Mike?
Well, I'd like to give a shout out, even though this guy was traded last night, but and we only had him for pretty much half a season. But I wanted to shout out former Cub relief pitcher Andrew Chafin, the left-handed reliever, I should say, who was traded late last night to the Oakland Athletics for number 9 prospect in the A's farm system, Greg Dykman, who actually is a former LSU Tiger of his own right. If you have kept up with SEC baseball the past few years, definitely you will remember the name Greg Dykman for sure. I know I did as soon as the name popped up. I said, yeah, he played at LSU. And I remember one of my Twitter buddies who actually lives in Miami, or he lives in Florida, I should say, but he's a big Cub fan, and he and I interact a good bit on Twitter. He was asking reporters on Twitter questions about him, like how good is he and how has he been doing up to this point, and I just responded, well, I know without a shadow of a doubt he played his college ball at LSU, and he, of course, liked it and kind of went back at me with a laugh out loud. At least we got an SEC guy or something like that. But also in the deal, Daniel Palencia, number 12 prospect from the A's, goes to the Chicago Cubs in this deal. But I wanted to shout out Andrew Chafin for an incredible job that he did in the Cubs bullpen, because this year's Cubs bullpen, even though they haven't had the season that myself or other Cub fans had envisioned or hoped for, the bullpen actually was the bright spot this season.
Okay.
For once.
Yeah.
And which the Cubs never have a bullpen. The Cubs always have the starting pitching, but they don't have the bullpen. Hence, they traded 5 prospects, which the anniversary was just the other day, and I remember tagging you in this, but of when the Cubs acquired Aroldis Chapman, the closer from the New York Yankees,
right,
who ultimately helped the Cubs win their first World Series championship in 108 years, so that helped a long way. But they had to overuse him because he was their guy. He was the guy that got it done. And nobody else really stepped up. And so this year, it felt like if they could keep their hitting going, then everything looked very promising. But fortunately, that has not happened as the Cubs are, I believe, now 2 games below 500, and they have fallen out of the National League Central and National League wild card races. This is only this trade right here is only the beginning to major moves for the Cubs organization that are going to happen at the trade deadline, that are going to make me very, very sad and depressed a little bit, considering this is going to be the last couple of days that you get to see of the remaining members of the historical 2016 World Series championship team in Chicago. But I just wanted to start off by shouting out Andrew Chafin and the job that he did in just half a season, as he had a 2.09 earned run average for the Cubs in 39.1 innings pitched, and he also, I can't remember how many consecutive games it was. I know it was double-digit games, but I can't remember the exact amount. But he had a streak of double-digit games where he hadn't even allowed a single earned run.
Wow. Okay.
And so he was very impressive. Definitely not the last bullpen arm from the Cubs to be traded here. before or at the deadline for sure.
Just the start of the wave.
Yeah, unfortunately. So it's a time that I'm not looking forward to, but I certainly appreciate a guy like him for signing with the Cubs. I know the fans have welcomed him with open arms. He has a great Twitter page, I might add. He's got this incredible mustache, as a lot of Cub fans and a lot of baseball fans know, and he loves to wear these shirts, that obvious shirts sends him. One of them being one of my favorite quotes from him, "I'm a failed starter." Because he's such a great reliever now.
Yeah.
And he'd always have that blue shirt in white lettering that says "I'm a failed starter" on it. So I always had a kick out of that. And I'm trying to remember the other one real quick. Well, I can't remember the other one, but yeah, that one all the time.
Good sense of humor.
Stuck out to me. But yeah, we're greatly going to miss him. Certainly appreciate what he did for the Cubs in half of the season, and maybe it's not going to be too much of a rebuild, and maybe he can end up finding his way back to Chicago. But he has truly embraced the fan base for sure, and he's certainly one of the guys that I didn't want to see go, but you obviously knew it was going to happen. So shout out to Andrew Chafin.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's going to be some more shout outs on Friday's show that it's going to make me very, very sad to say it, but I certainly won't. And of course Andrew Chafin was not on the World Series team, but these guys that are fixing to get traded from the 2016 team, they're always going to hold a special place in my heart and every other Cub fan's heart for what they were able to accomplish.
Well, naturally, yeah, and
it's certainly going to be tough seeing them go to other teams, but you knew the time was coming, and the time is here, unfortunately, and it is what it is. It's a business at the end of the day, but certainly want to commend them for what they've done for not only the city of Chicago, but for the fan base as well, giving us a historical championship that not a lot of us ever thought we'd see the day in which it would happen, but they were able to do it back in 2016. So I just wanted to shout out Andrew Chafin.
All right. Well, I don't really have a specific shout out or last thing to touch on. I guess I'll just say thank you to the listeners. So shout out to you for listening, and
yes, thank you guys so much
being a part of this. And
definitely appreciate you for tuning in to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Every time we come out with a new episode for you guys.
Where can they? Well, you can catch the podcast on Sport Fanatics at Sport Fanatics on Twitter, spelled just like the show. What about you, J. Mike?
And I'm thinking. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm thinking now that I have the login credentials. I'm thinking about doing some draft coverage.
Okay.
Quite possibly, if that's okay with you on Thursday night.
Of course.
If I'm not, too tired or wound up or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, I mean, if you want to keep up with the NBA draft, but you're on the road perhaps, and you're not able to listen to it while you're driving, and there's certainly not a TV set in front of you or anywhere near you, and you definitely want to keep up with draft coverage, follow us on Sport Fanatics, and I will break down what's happening as each pick is being selected for you on our Twitter page. So once again, please follow us at Sport Fanatics on Twitter, as I will provide draft coverage for you guys on Thursday night. But you can add me as a friend on Facebook. My name is John Michael McBunch. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I have the same handle. It is at J_MikeCheck. So please feel free to follow us on Sport Fanatics on Twitter and follow me on social media as well. I love sports. I love talking about sports. I love interacting with people about sports, anything to do with it. And so if you love sports just as much as I do, man, please feel free to follow me on social media. Where can they find you at, Chris?
Oh, I'm just on Twitter, Christopheles11, Chris Topholes11. That's my @. And so that's where you can find me. So again, thank y'all for listening this week. Follow the show and us on social media. Y'all have a good week. It's Tuesday. Got a lot of week to go. Make sure it's a good one. I'm going to be catching those Olympics. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. But y'all take care.
See you Friday.